Good morning, everyone, evening, afternoon, wherever it is, whatever time it is where you're at. My name is Justin from Justin's Alaska Eats, your favorite foodie. You're watching another episode of First Taste from Recover Alaska. This is a monthly series that normalizes sober and sober curious lifestyles through candid conversations and excellent zero proof drinks handcrafted by bartenders who can make more than just a cocktail. It is Sobriety Awareness Month. I didn't know that. So this is a brand new thing for me, which is super exciting. We're celebrating sobriety, we're observing sobriety, and we're going to break it down through stigma surrounding sobriety. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce everyone to the audience. So Miss Yaari, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Justin. My name is Yaari, and I'm originally from St. Lawrence Island. So I was born and raised here in Alaska, and I moved to Anchorage in 1997. And I work full-time for the Alaska Native Heritage Center, and I'm also a full-time student for the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And just celebrated my 10th sobriety, so I'm very happy with that.
Awesome, Yaari. It's so good to see you again and to have you here. Mr. Brian, how are we doing today, bro? Can we introduce ourselves to everybody?
Of course. Thank you, Justin. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Belcher. I'm born and raised here in Anchorage, Alaska. I work full-time at Alaska Behavioral Health as a peer support specialist, and I'm also a full-time student. If you don't see me at either one of those places, or well, at Alaska Behavioral Health or catch me studying, I teach acro for Studio 49.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here again to celebrate this with us and to get some tasty drink in our system. Super excited for that. Yeah. And Mr. RJ, how are we doing today, sir?
I'm excellent. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm always good. Always. Even when I'm crying, I'm really laughing inside.
So yeah, my name is RJ. I am a 20-year bartender. Started on my 21st birthday, and I've been going ever since. I got really into mixology and flavor profiles. So this is a super fun project for me because I think with my job choice, I can do more than just get people drunk. I can actually provide like a really good, tasty, like zero proof mixed drink. I'm also a writer for the Anchorage Press, and I have a pending book deal. And in addition to that, I am a stage performer doing everything from burlesque to stand up to singing. So yeah, I'm out and about quite a bit.
That's a lot. Call you a jack of all trades. And yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's fun. It keeps me out of trouble. So
For
I've
sure.
always got some sort of project going on.
Yeah. Out of trouble is a good place to be.
Yeah.
What kind of drink are we making today?
So today's drink is inspired by the very famous hurricane out of New Orleans. And New Orleans is very protective of the hurricane. That's like their signature drink. And I was inspired by that for this month because it's the start of Lent and it's sobriety awareness. And thing about Lent is it's a period in the Catholic religion where you abstain from something for 40 days to check in with your spirituality and see if that thing is holding you back. And for people that are curious about sobriety or recovery, it was actually during Lent that I had a conversation with a priest, and he said, well, what do you think you're going to give up for Lent? I said, I think I'm going to give up alcohol. And he said, no, that's too easy. You could quit tomorrow if you want. The problem you have is you can't stop at just one. And it led to this entire conversation about the reason we give things up for Lent, the reason we abstain from things that might be harmful to us. But because Lent starts the day after Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, New Orleans, it all ties in together. And so today we're making a hurricane. I'm using a big glass because this is a delicious drink. Get some ice in there. And this one, even though this is going to be a single off cocktail, this drink would make a really, really good like punch for a party. Because a lot of times when we quit drinking, we we lose some of that social aspect of our lives, or people that continue to drink don't feel like they're able to invite a sober person to do anything. That, like, you lose your friendships a lot of times right away. So what I've done is I've filled my glass half with pineapple and then topped it with orange juice, and I'm putting lemon and lime in there. Really fun, fruity, bright flavors. And then I'm going to take some grenadine. I want to show you guys something cool about grenadine if you want it to be pretty. Grenadine will follow a straw when you pour it in. So if you pour it against the straw, it takes it right to the bottom and you get that beautiful like sunset color. And yeah, this one would be super fun. All these ingredients, put them in a punch bowl, take some of the extra juice that you have, freeze it into ice cubes. So as it dilutes, you don't have that watered down mess at the end of the party. And then maybe throw some rainbow sherbet in there or something. And then we're just going to garnish with a pineapple. And of course, every 21-year-old girl's favorite thing, maraschino cherries. And that is the hurricane inspired by New Orleans. Everybody got theirs?
Yeah, very, very excited. Let's drink. Let's try it.
All right. Cheers.
Okay, first impressions. Anyone?
From now on, when I go out, I'm going to have this. This is so good. Oh my gosh.
This is delicious.
It's huge. I love it. Thank you.
It is.
And I
really
want to do this one because
too much lemon juice
you
in
can
it.
actually find all these ingredients in most bars. So it's not hard for a bartender to make this. They're going to have the ingredients already.
Word. These are very simple. Put together, these are amazing. Brian, what were you saying about the lemon juice?
I put a little too much lemon juice in mine.
I put a little too much grenadine. You can tell it's extra red, but this is still delicious. Pineapple juice, it just has that sharp sourness to it, you know, like a kiwi does, like a lime. And that's my favorite thing in the whole world. I don't eat a lot of candy, but I'm like hooked on sour candy. And so when I eat pineapple and kiwi, I get that same sensation. And this is like a mixture of all these different things. So
The nice thing about this is, like, you know, orange juice, pineapple juice, and grenadine, and lemon and lime juice are all things that we all regularly have, like, in our house. I mean, I may not have grenadine all the time, but you know, that's an easy one off to run out and buy. So in any situation, especially if you're at a house party or if you are in a bar, it's something that is super simple and easy to make, as opposed to, you know, that's one of the harder things that I find about trying to go out now, is you end up going to a bar and you're like, oh well, it's either soda water, or you just end up drinking soda the whole night, and or trying to find a way to make it look like you have a beverage without having a beverage. If you are comfortable enough to do like the NA beers and things like that, I mean, that's also a plus. But even still, after a while, like after one of those, I don't like to do too much more, because it gets so easy for it to be confused to something else. And then someone's like, oh, well, I got you another drink. And before you know it, they hand you a beer. And then if you're not paying attention, then it creates a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I know that when the first time I went to a bar when I was in my sober phase for about 4 years, that I didn't drink it, but I had an NA beer in front of me, because as long as I had one in front of me, people stopped trying to send me shots. So it just sat there warm all night, but nobody was trying to get me to drink because they thought I was.
That's slick. That's like bar strategy.
Yeah.
I love that. And speaking of strategy, let's kind of, and while we have these delicious drinks in our hands, my God, that's good. let's talk about Sobriety Awareness Month. I think that's something so beautiful to be aware of and to observe. everyone's journey is different. We've been talking a lot about journeys in between these episodes and stuff like that, what they look like. They're different for everyone, and we don't really get to tell other people what their journey exactly should be or look like, or how long it should be, or exactly how to do it step by step anyway. Why don't you guys tell us just like, and I've heard a little bit of your stories, but why don't you guys tell us like a little bit about your journeys and the motivation that keeps you going every day? And do you feel that awareness months or days, really make a difference? Do you see that externally? Do you see that within your own lives? Brian, what do you think about that?
I think when it comes to awareness months or awareness days, I don't like to look at them. I don't observe them as much as other people might, because I don't want it to be in just that moment.
Right.
When I first started my sobriety, one of the big things for everybody was like, how many days do you have? How long has it been? I don't like to count the days, because I know for me, counting anything is like a countdown, or like, on day 500, we get to change or whatever. I get to go back and do whatever I was doing, but I don't want it to be okay, well, when you get to X amount of days, it's no longer a problem, and now you can go back on and do whatever it was that you were doing before, because you just spent 500 days fixing yourself or whatever. But the thing with recovering with sobriety is, I know for me, it's a continual process. It's a continual step of choosing growth over becoming stagnant. And for me, I know I will not grow if I choose to relapse, or choose to go to step backwards.
Yeah, I hear you there. Thank you for sharing that. Yaari, RJ, anyone? What do you guys think?
Well, for me, I think about when I first sobered up, I made a lot of changes. I changed my phone number. I quit going to certain places. I let my drinking buddies or my friends know, hey, I'm trying to be sober. And I changed my number, and my first 30 days was the toughest. It was so hard. I didn't realize, because I drank every single day, I didn't realize that when you quit cold turkey, it could make you sick, it could hurt you, it could kill you. And I was pretty sick when I first sobered up. But I had to scream into a pillow anytime I felt tempted. And I would tell myself every morning, I'm going to make today count, meaning I'm going to stay sober today. And I would tell myself, anytime I felt tempted, if I could stay sober for 5 minutes, I can stay sober for another 5 minutes. So it's really important for me to count my minutes, my hours, my days, because it helped me to stay focused on sobriety. And I had to use a punching bag. I had to scream. I had to ask somebody to hold me, hug me until my temptation goes away. And I realized temptations only lasted a few minutes. They didn't stay very long. They'd come and go, but it was so hard. But I was so determined to stay sober, because I lived a very dysfunctional lifestyle when I was drinking. I lost trust. I lost, a lot of things. I lost my apartment, my car, and hurt a lot of people along the way. And I couldn't do that anymore. So to me, one day sober, I have to count my days, because it encourages me to keep going. So that's why I like to count my days and my hours. And I feel like I'm on lockdown. When I first sobered up, I prayed and said, please give me some tools or a way to stay sober. So what I tell my close friends and family is that God has me on lockdown. Because anytime I think about my drinking days and how I'm missing out, honestly, I start to feel really sick to my stomach. And that's what I call it. God has me on lockdown. He
Mm,
keeps me from temptations.
I love that. And in like we just talking about, like the journey is different. You know, Brian, you don't want to observe, you know, like the days and things like that. Whereas Yari, you know, you need to do that, you know, and you both of you are at excellent places in your lives and keeping your boundaries and meeting your goals. So I'm really encouraged by the both of you, by not trying to mimic some sort of, you know, one size fits all formula, and figuring out what works for you and what you need in the moment. RJ, what do you think about all that?
I do think that a lot of times if we're bringing awareness to something, it's important. Like last month when we were talking about Black History Month, you know, yes, there are more media, like there's more movies, there's music, things like that. And maybe it will spark a curiosity. And as we talk about Sober Awareness Month, or like a lot of my friends did Dry January,
Yeah.
or they, you know, even something as silly as No Shave November, it starts a conversation, and maybe that curiosity is piqued, and then people start looking into it. And that was my whole thing with Lent. Not saying somebody needs to go into recovery or become sober forever, but try it for 40 days and see if anything in your life changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it might just give you a minute to realize, okay, I'm doing too much. I'm going too hard. I'm being too extra right now. And just give yourself a moment of clarity. So I think, yeah, something like Sober Awareness Month, if, you know, one person decides to do it and their friends are like, hey, let's go out and drink. They're like, no, I decided to take this month off.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that'll create something within that group of friends where they look for something to do that doesn't involve being intoxicated all the time.
Yeah. No, I like that a whole lot. Because when we do decide to participate in these sorts of things and be aware of them, we're making a statement. You know, we're telling it, we're almost being transparent in a sort of way, sharing a part of our story. It's very important to be observant and aware. That way we can develop empathy, we can ask questions, and we can maybe have a moment of self-reflection. What, you know, do I need to give something up? You know what I mean? So I think that in participating in these sorts of things and being on our journey and not being afraid to fail and get back up on the horse, and to allow ourselves to define what success is, right? With of course the right counsel, the right friendship, the right mentorship, and all that, we are making very powerful statements about ourselves and our families, and hopefully encouraging someone that we don't know is looking, right? So thank you guys for all sharing that with me and with everyone who's watching. It's very important. It's very beautiful. Kind of like this drink. It's gorgeous. What would you guys rate this 1 out of 5?
I'm going to give mine a 4 because I put way too much lemon juice.
Mine is a 5+++++. This is my new favorite drink.
Really hated it that much, huh, Yaari? Man, tell us how you really feel, you know? No, I think this is excellent. I did add a little too much red in there, but
well, this is a drink that also like can really be made to your own specifications. You know, if you don't like the tart as much, pull back on that lemon and that lime. If you do really want sweet, go for the grenadine. I have put grenadine in drinks that should not have grenadine, but that's what the customer wanted.
That's a good point. That's a very good
grenadine,
point.
You can always use the juice from your cherries too if you don't have grenadine.
Oh, now that's creative. I like that a lot. I'm gonna have to try that. I didn't garnish mine with the cherry, so the next time I make this, I'm actually gonna try that. Not only add the cherry in there, but definitely pour some of that juice in there, because that's just a good idea. It's very smart and creative. But I would definitely give this like I'd give it a 4, I think. And I like to play around with it, like pull back on this and maybe add a little more of that next time I make this and see if I can bump it up to a 5. like you said, RJ, just make sure I can make it the way that I want it to taste, make my taste buds explode. But thank you so much for the drink, for showing us all how to make it. It was delicious. Thank you for the conversation about the beauty of sobriety and everyone's respective journeys. And thank you everyone for watching this latest episode of Recover Alaska's First Taste. If you like what you saw, like, love, share, visit Recover Alaska's website for more recipes like this one. Join us next month for another episode where we're going to be chatting about current events and drinking delicious drinks like this. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.